In this video, we'll present the mechanism of Bitcoin. What really is it? The hope is to show you in an intuitive way. Understand this video, you should be able to have fundamental understanding of Bitcoin. Now let's start. Before we dive right into the mechanism, we need to first understand the question why. Why Bitcoin was made. The mechanism is nothing but a way to serve the question why. We trace all the way back to where it all started, the Bitcoin white paper. Bitcoin, in its essence, it's designed to make a currency system that has no third party. But what does that mean? You see, in reality, any money you spend online does not go directly from your pocket to the seller's pocket. There has to be someone in the middle. It is either your bank's account, your credit card company, someone has to be in there. It can't just happen with two of you, the seller and the buyer. Satoshi didn't like this. Satoshi wants a system that has just the buyer and the seller, nothing in between. So the task becomes finding out what the bank actually do, then just create something that functions exactly like the bank. Then we can replace it. Picture this. Each time you buy something from the seller online, all it does on the bank side is to add an amount to one of you and subtract the same amount from one another. Payments in real life is nothing but pluses and minuses in the bank's accounting book, no matter it's digital or paper. And along this process, every payment have to be accounted. Otherwise, one can spend the same money multiple times. Picture if you spend 1 million to buy a house, but the bank never record that you actually spend it. Since the bank never take it away, you can spend that 1 million as many times as you want. We don't want that to happen. Now, we know what we're up to. We want to keep track of all transactions without a bank. So in essence, we need to create a huge accounting book by ourselves. Now, everything boils down to that humongous accounting book, accounting everybody's transactions. Here kicks in an important question. Where is the accounting book? It has to be somewhere in order for everyone to access it. If it is not in banks, where should it be? One thing crystal clear is it shouldn't be anywhere physically, because this way, that anywhere, that particular place will be yet another center. So really, Satoshi believes the only way to do this is to store everything, the whole thing, in everyone's computer. This whole thing, this humongous accounting book that we have been talking about, is the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not just currency. It's more precise to say it is a new design of a whole currency flow system. It's in essence the accounting book itself. When we are talking about the mechanism of Bitcoin, we are really talking about the mechanism of this accounting book. Now we can talk about mechanisms. The thing is, design a system to make this accounting book work. First and foremost, this is an accounting book, so somebody should do the accounting. Who is it? It shouldn't be any individual or single institution. This way, there's just another center. So really, you guessed it, let the majority decide. And what's the majority of this online system in this digitalized world? Computers! And what does a computer do? It computes. Satoshi decided to let the whole Bitcoin system based on computing powers. The strongest computing power, in theory, gets to do the accounting. In Satoshi's own word, this is one CPU, 1 volt. To clarify, people may also call this accounting book ledger. Essentially, we're talking about the same thing. Let's move on. Now, we need to design a system that works the most computing work. To do this, most people's intuition would be to let the computers solve really hard math problems. Well, as math problems do not necessarily occupy others' computers, it certainly occupies Satoshi's brain to design it. All we need to do here is to make the computer work. In other words, let the computer try as many times as possible before it gets the right answer. So in theory, we need to find something that is statistically close to impossible to work out. What is something in reality you may find close to impossible to get? You name it. Lottery tickets. Like Powerball. And this is exactly what Satoshi decided to do. It sets up a goal to look like this. And this is what the lottery winning number looks like. It is the hashed value. Just think of a hash as a function. In essence, it is no different than y equal to x plus 1, but much more complicated than it. The key is, remember you input one value, you get another value. Along this process, a hash is almost random. There is no way to predict it. So to win, you need to input value that outputs exactly this winning value. Since this function is almost random and there is no currently proven way to crush it, the only way you can do is to try as many times until you hit it. This is it. Along this process of trying all values, once one gets it, one gets to do the accounting. Each time of counting is essentially a block. A block simply stores all the transactions accounted at that time. Repeating this process and mining blocks combining together is called blockchain. Along this process, to motivate one to do the computing and thus accounting, Bitcoin are rewarded. For example, the reward for now is 6.25 Bitcoins distributed by the Bitcoin system automatically. If an attacker wants to attack, that is to make some change of the past transactions, the attacker would not only have to redo all the computing work of that specific block containing that transaction, but also redo all the computing works of blocks after it. Because all blocks are tied together, and the system is designed in a way to accept only the longest blockchain as the blockchain. To be clear, although the system in theory works so far, it still has a long way to go in practice. I may explain this in future videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.